They can't see our faces. They can't see our smiles. They can't see the toys we brought, or the cameras in the room, or the people watching quietly from the back. All they have is sound, scent, and feeling. And today, that has to be enough. Today, we placed 30 blind shelter dogs into a room with 30 strangers. No calling, no moving, no reaching out. The rule was simple: be still, be silent, and let the dog choose. Most of these dogs weren't born blind. They lost their sight slowly, some from illness, some from injury, some from neglect. And when they couldn't see anymore, they were left behind. People didn't say it out loud, but the message was clear. A blind dog is harder. A blind dog is inconvenient. A blind dog is someone else's problem. So they ended up here, confused, disoriented, living in a world that suddenly went dark. If you've ever closed your eyes in a familiar room, you know how fast fear arrives. Now imagine never opening them again. Every sound becomes a question. Every step is uncertain. Every silence feels dangerous. Yet somehow, these dogs are still gentle, still hopeful, still willing to trust. Today wasn't about finding them masters. Today was about finding them guides. We cleared the room completely. One giant circle. 30 people spaced evenly apart. Everyone was nervous. Some were shaking. Some were already crying before it even started, because there's something terrifying about standing completely still while a living being searches for safety. I heard someone whisper, "I hope one picks me." But that's the wrong way to think about it, because you don't get picked for who you want to be. You get picked for who you are. These dogs don't care about clothes, or confidence, or looks. They care about energy, your breathing, your scent, your stillness. Before the doors opened, we explained one last thing. Listen carefully. These dogs navigate by sound. If you move, they might panic. If you speak, they'll follow your voice instead of their instinct. So don't help them. Let them decide. Some people nodded. Some wiped their eyes. One woman whispered, "I promise I won't move." The room went quiet. So quiet you could hear breathing. Then we counted down. 3, 2, 1. The gates opened. At first, nothing happened. You could hear paws on the floor. Soft, careful. Blind dogs don't walk the way other dogs do. They lift their paws higher. They step slowly. They test the ground before committing. It's called the blind dog gait. It isn't clumsiness, it's caution. One dog stopped completely and tilted his head, listening. Another bumped gently into a chair and froze, waiting for the world to respond. No one moved. A golden retriever took 3 steps forward, then sat down, as if asking, "Is this safe?" Someone whispered under their breath, "I'm right here," then stopped themselves, because they weren't supposed to help. A small black dog began circling the room, nose low to the ground, tracking scent like a map. He passed 5 people without stopping, 6, 7. Then suddenly, he stopped. He leaned, just slightly, against someone's leg. The person froze. You could see their hands trembling, but they didn't move. The dog pressed a little more. That was his choice. When a blind dog leans on you, sits on your feet, or rests their body against yours, they're saying something very specific. I trust you to lead me. That's the moment. That's the decision. Across the room, another dog walked straight into someone's knees. Not gently, not carefully, just straight in. The person laughed through tears. "I've got you," they whispered, even though they weren't supposed to. The dog stayed. One woman was kneeling without realizing it, her body slowly lowering as a large dog leaned into her chest. "You're heavy," she said softly. But I've got you, someone else whispered. You just needed a wall, didn't you? A man wearing old boots felt a nose press against his ankle. He smiled. I knew wearing these would pay off. The room began to fill with quiet moments like that. A dog resting its chin on someone's foot. A dog sitting directly on someone's shoes. A dog circling, then choosing, then staying. No commands, no tricks, just instinct. One dog kept bumping gently into the same person, over and over. You're using me as your bumper, aren't you? The person said, and stayed perfectly still. Another dog sneezed, loudly, right into someone's leg. The person laughed and said, Well, I guess that means something. A small dog crawled halfway under a chair and stopped. The person sitting there whispered, You can hide here as long as you want. The dog stayed. One blind shepherd walked the entire circle before coming back to the very first person he passed, checked everyone else, then returned, as if to say, I needed to be sure. A woman broke down completely when a dog laid across her feet. I promise I'll be your eyes, she said. That was the sentence that broke everyone, because that's what these dogs were looking for. Not ownership, partnership, guidance. Someone who wouldn't rush them, someone who wouldn't disappear, someone steady. One dog pressed his entire body against a man's legs and refused to move. The man whispered, You fit mostly. We'll need a bigger chair at home. Another dog spun in a slow circle and leaned into a woman's side. She said, You're still on patrol, aren't you? Then smiled through tears. It's okay. Stand down. I've got the perimeter. People stopped worrying about being chosen. They started worrying about deserving it. Because when a blind dog chooses you, you don't feel proud. You feel responsible. As the room filled, movement slowed. Dogs settled. 30 strangers slowly became families. At the end, we walked back into the shelter. 30 cages, all empty. People always talk about saving dogs. But today, the dogs saved something too. They reminded us that sight isn't what helps you see the future. Trust is. These dogs came in seeing nothing but darkness. They're leaving seeing a future, not because they were guided, but because they chose. If this touched your heart, if you felt something shift inside you, please help us do this again. Adopt. Don't shop. Because sometimes, love really is blind.